Hello, my name is Sandra and welcome back to my channel. So today we have an exciting book haul. We have my end of summer book haul and we have quite a few books, okay? So we're gonna go through them quickly. I'm gonna stop at some of them that are more interesting. I'm gonna give some backstory as to why I got this book or if I read the author before. But besides that, we're gonna try to speed it up because, or else you know me, I could take about hours and hours talking about books. I usually give you guys topics or genres. This one is kind of mixed. Like, it's really as mixed as it can get. Like, I have a French book, I have poetry, I have self-help, I have literary fiction, regular fiction. Essentially, anything that I enjoyed during the summertime or any kind of genre I enjoyed during the summertime, I went out and like ordered something similar, if that makes sense. So some of these authors are authors that I read for the first time this summer and I love their work so much that I've ordered something else by them. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So I'm just gonna grab the first book here on my pile. I have a pile on my desk, I have a pile on the floor. Yeah, it's just piles everywhere and I had to film this at some point and now we're almost fall, so yeah, let me just say I filmed this at the last possible time that you could film this. So I got Living the Artist's Way, An Intuitive Path to Greater Creativity by Julia Cameron. I've been working through a whole bind up of The Artist's Way in the last year and I'm on day 421 or 422 of my morning pages, like consistent morning pages. So it's really helped me in my creativity and my overall mood and direction in my days. So that's why I'm collecting everything by Julia Cameron. This one, it just seems like it's another 6-week course and it's one of her newer course. So I'll definitely be finishing the ones that I have already. I'm on the second of 3 books. So I'll finish those 3 books and then I'll probably pick this one up right after. I finally got Big Swiss by Jean Began. I've really wanted this book in the last year or so that it's been circling around. No one talks about this book anymore because everyone has read it except for me. So it's basically about a sex therapist transcriptionist that has an affair with one of the patients, and it's just like a wild story overall and I just really can't wait to read this. I put my loan in when I got this book at the beginning of the summer, so I'm just waiting for my loan to come in. I think it should be coming in the next 5 weeks, so I still have a little while to wait, but I'm so excited to read this. I love the cover. It's just, that's like a cover that pulls you in. So that's Big Swiss. I got this book from Chapters. It's Warhol by Blake Gopnik. And listen, I know that Andy Warhol is like a very controversial figure, but because I was doing this whole piece on art and like artists and art history, I really am interested in reading even the controversial figures. Like in the summer I read Hitler's Art Thief and I learned more about like art thieves in Hitler's time and about Hitler and about Hitler's involvement in art and what he considered degenerate art back in those times. So it's just very important for me to read and acknowledge what's going on. That doesn't necessarily mean I support it. So yeah, and I also got this on a severe discount. So let me know if anyone has read this. I don't know anything about Andy Warhol except that he like destroy Ed Sedgwick's life and then there was an attempted murder on his life. That's as far as my knowledge go when it comes to Andy Warhol. So I just found I have a book on fasting, but I know I bought another book on fasting, so I'm gonna try to look for that one so we can just get 2 birds with 1 stone. I have read 1.5 books on fasting this summer and I am currently fasting. Like I am fasting more like intermittently now or with like some 1 day, 2 day fasts, and I think next year I will be filming and recording an extended fast. I just don't want to put my body through that stress after having a full year of like really bad habits and stress. I'm just like building my fasting muscle again, if that makes sense. So I really am interested in fasting and anything fasting science. So this was the book. I got 28-Day Fast Start Day by Day by Jen Stevens, and I'm reading her other book about fasting right now, so that's why I got this one. And I also got this one, which is The Oldest Cure in the World, Adventures in the Art and Science of Fasting by Steve Hendricks. Honestly, this one seems really, really interesting. Like, sometimes I'm tired of just reading about the science. Like, I just want to read about stories and people's discovery more so than like fast these amount of time and watch your body go to ketosis or autophagy. Sometimes when I like a topic, like I want a mixture of like personal story, personal history with like the science or the facts. So I think it's going to be a good balance of having both, not just one type of book. Then I got this book. It's Come and Get It by Kylie Reed. It's the author of Such a Fun Age. I love this cover. I don't know, there's something about these type of neon covers that really draw me in. So this one I'm going to read you a little bit of the blurb because I don't think I remember it. It says here, it's 2017 at the University of Arkansas, and Millie Cousins, a super senior resident assistant at Belgrade Dormitory, just wants to graduate, get a job, and buy a house. So when Agatha Paul, a writer and visiting professor itching for her next big topic, offers Millie an easy yet unusual opportunity for them to help each other further their own interests, Millie naturally jumps at the chance. But Millie's starry-eyed side hustle quickly becomes jeopardized by a lonely transfer student, unruly residents, and illicit intrigue. Both Millie and Agatha are forced to question just how much of themselves they are willing to trade to get what they want. Okay, I like blurbs like these because it doesn't give too much, but it gives enough to like incite you to pick it up. So I'm hoping this is gonna be a fun ride. This kind of seems more like a fall type of book, so I think I might add this to my TBR for fall, but that's going to be a separate video coming up soon. Then I got this book called Sugar Baby. Pretty self-explanatory. It's by Celine St. Clair and it's a novel. And the reason why I picked this up is that it really reminded me of this book. I don't remember the name, but there was a book. Oh yeah, it was called Luster. And I haven't found a book that is in the similar vein, but this one really sounds similar. It says, Sugar Baby follows Agnes, a mixed-race 21-year-old whose life seems to be heading nowhere. Still living at home, she works as a cleaner and spends all her money in clubs on the weekends searching for distractions from her mundane life. That is until she meets Emily, daughter of one of her cleaning clients, who lives in London and works as a model and a sugar baby, dating richer, older men for money. So as you can tell, it's going to be that kind of story, and I'm really interested to see where it goes and if it's gonna be good commentary, as in we're gonna see like the repercussions of her actions and about the entire industry at whole. Then I got this book. It's Jenny Lawson's Broken in the Best Way Possible. I am not sure if this is an essay collection or what, but I have seen this author around for a very long time and I've never picked anything up by her, so I'm going to just read a brief blurb. It says, Jenny Lawson has always been quite candid about her mental health. In Broken in the best possible way, she explores how after years of suffering from depression, she finally tried the experimental transcranial magnetic stimulation (TMS). Lawson details her treatment with brutal honesty and with her trademark brutal humor. Lawson discusses the frustration of dealing with her medical bills in an open letter to my insurance company, which should be an anthem for anyone who has ever had to fight to get a claim covered. So basically this is like a comedy book, but also dealing with real matters such as mental health. So I'm very much interested in picking this up at some point. I need to pick up this next book by this author because she wrote one of my favorite romance books that I read last year, and it's A Love Song for Ricky Wilde by Tia Williams. And Tia Williams wrote, what was it, 7 Days in June? Something like that. I'll leave the cover here. I loved that book so much when I read it last year, so I had to pick this one up. I think I might wait around like maybe Valentine's Day or next summer to actually read it because I just don't feel like in a mood for like lovey-dovey romance when it comes to fall time. Fall is all about like crime and mystery and dark academia for me. But I'm so excited that I have a copy. The story is about one florist, one pianist, one love story, 100 years in the making. So that just sounds amazing, and if it's anything like her other novel, I know I'm just gonna love it. The next 4 books are new releases that came out in the last month or so. and these are books that are definitely going on my fall TBR. So I have first here, I have A Dark and Drowning Tide by Alison Saft. And obviously this is dark academia. I've seen so many people recommend this, and I will just read briefly the description here. It says, Lorelei, a folklorist with a quick temper and an even quicker wit, is on an expedition with 6 eccentric nobles in search of a fabled spring. The magical spring promises untold power, which the king wants to harness in order to secure his reign over the embattled country of Brunestad. Lorelei is determined to use this opportunity to prove herself and make her wildest, most impossible dream come true, to become a naturalist able to travel freely to lands she's only read about. The expedition gets off to a harrowing start when its leader, Lorelei's beloved mentor, is murdered in her quarters above their ship. The suspects are 5 remaining expedition mates, each with their own motive. The only person Lorelei knows must be innocent is her longtime academic rival, the insufferably gallant and maddeningly beautiful Sylvia von Wolf. Now in charge of the expedition, Lorelei must find the spring before the murder strikes again and a coup begins in earnest. So the thing that really drew me into this book is not only like academic rivals and the fact that it's a sapphic fantasy, but also because like it kind of gives me that vibe of Eva Reid's A Study in Drowning. So I definitely wanted something like that, and actually Eva Reid has blurbed this, so just convenient that way. Then I got The Capital of Dreams by Heather O'Neill. I simply love Heather O'Neill, and I just read her book When We Lost Our Heads, and I just wanted something more. Recently I've been listening to a lot of podcasts that feature her, and she's talking about her books, and the reason why I also really feel connected to Heather O'Neill is that she's a Montreal, basically Canadian, English, French speaker, you know, writer. I feel like every time I read from another Montreal or like Toronto writer, I feel that kind of kinship, and even if their story is not necessarily set in Montreal, her novel When We Lost Our Heads is actually set in 1860s Montreal, I believe. But this one, it seems like it's more of a fantasy novel. It says Sophia Bottom lives in a small country that Europe has forgotten, but inside its borders, the old myths of trees that come alive and fairies who live among their roots have given way to an explosion of the arts and the consolations of philosophy. No one, from the clarinetists to the cabaret singers, is as revered as Sophia's brilliant mother, the writer Clara Bottom. How can 14-year-old Sophia, with a thin ear and an enduring love of the old myths, ever hope to win her mother's love? So it looks like it's a fantasy, and it also deals with mother-daughter relationships, and I just know I'm going to absolutely devour it. And not only that, it's been blurbed by 2 of my favorite other Canadian authors, Ian Reid and Sherry Dimaline. So it's just, I'm just so excited. I just know I'm gonna love this, and I am possibly gonna film a reading vlog, obviously, because I just can't contain my excitement. And then the next book I picked up is Lady Macbeth by Eva Reid. I don't think you need me to talk about this any more than I have. I've been anticipating this book. I don't know why I haven't read it yet. I guess it's because sometimes when your excitement is too high, you don't want to go into the book with too much excitement and like destroy the experience for yourself. So I'm kind of waiting it out a little bit, and then when I'm ready, I'm gonna get right into this book. It has beautiful end papers. So yeah, it's basically a retelling of Lady Macbeth, and that's about it. It says, the lady knows the stories, know her eye induce madness in men. The lady knows she will be wed to the Scottish brood, who does not leave his warrior ways behind when he comes to the marriage bed. The lady knows his hostile, suspicious court will be a game of strategy, requiring all of her wills and hidden witchcraft to survive. But the lady does not know her husband has occult secrets of his own. She does not know that prophecy girds him like armor. She does not know that her magic is greater and more dangerous, and that it will threaten the order of the world. She does not know this yet, but she will. I'm just so excited. I just know that this is going to be fantastic and perfect for the fall time. Then we got Men Have Called Her Crazy. This is a memoir by Anna Marie Tendler. It's basically like, I think it's following her psychiatric hospitalization, a year of crippling anxiety, depression, and self-harm. And she was married to, I forgot his name. I think it was a famous comedian or actor. Essentially, when I heard about her story, I just felt really connected to it. So I want to see if this holds up. I know there's a lot of mixed reviews. Some people love it, some people hate it. But when I saw this book and this title and I went like on a little Google search about her and I saw that a lot of people were talking about this, I had to pick it up because I love memoir that have to deal with mental health. So I'm hoping that this is going to be good. And it also has been blurred by Carmen Maria Machado. So yeah, if you like memoirs, this might be one to pick up this fall time. I also picked up Bittersweet by Suzanne Cain, which is the author of Quiet. I've talked about this author in my INFJ video, but this book is a different topic. It says how sorrow and longing makes us whole. Here it says Susan Cain employs the same mix of research, storytelling, and memoir she used in Quiet to explore why we experience sorrow and longing and how embracing the bittersweetness of the heart of life is the true path to creativity, connection, and transcendence. I already have an audiobook loan out. I'm just waiting for it to come in, and I'm definitely going to be reading and reviewing this one. Okay, so we had to go back to my other favorite Canadian author. I think I should make a video of some of my favorite Canadian authors because I mentioned them here and there, but I never like made a complete video of my favorite female Canadian authors that are currently publishing. So I might do that. This is Alphabet Diaries by Sheila Heti. And I read her other book is How Should a Person Be? And that book is amazing. I still have yet to read her other books, but this one has a really interesting premise. She's basically selecting different writings from her journals and putting them in an alphabetical like manner. Like, so like, I don't know, like I guess she starts like A and B and C and D. Oh, this is so cool. This is even more fascinating than I thought it would be. So she starts with A, and every word, like every sentence starts with the letter A, a word with the letter A. And then she goes to B and she does the same thing. And like back at his place, he showed me a picture of his ex-girlfriend. Na 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 na, ba, bakery in Berlin. Basically, it's a crazy year. This is insane to create a project this way. And it looks like she goes ahead and does this the whole way through, and it's a short narrative too on top of that. I just can't wait to delve back into her genius, her brilliance, and I'm just so happy I have this. I already have my audiobook loan, so I will be reading this probably after this video. Okay, let's go through these next 4 books pretty quickly because they're pretty self-explanatory. This summer, I finally read Just Kids by Patti Smith. I loved it. Obviously, I loved it. I've seen her perform live last year. I love her music, and I just feel even more connected to her. I follow her on Substack. I've been reading her Substacks for the last few months, so I had to pick up everything that I didn't have yet from her. So I picked up Devotion. This is a small book and it's all about like writing and like our love for writing. It's part of like a collection of books that talk about why people write. So it's like Why I Write series. So yeah, it's just gonna, I guess, chronicle her life and her devotion basically. And then I got this book. It's A Book of Days by Patti Smith, and it's basically pictures, images with like description, and there's a picture a day for every day of the year. I think this is just beautiful to flip through throughout the year, or just even like going to them in a day. She's really involved in everything that she does, like photography, poetry, writing, music, traveling. So I love her pictures. I love her Instagram. So I just know that I'm gonna love having this just like on hand. The next thing I got here is As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. I was watching this girl talk about how this is a good short kind of philosophy book about thinking and the heart that we put into thinking. This is really short, so I will come back and talk about this at some point. But what I found really interesting is that this is a Peter Popper Press book, and as you guys know, I love Peter Popper Press because most of my journals that I've been collecting in the last few years are by Peter Popper Press. So I just knew that this collection would have been crafted beautifully, and it is. Like, you have images, you have gold foiling, and it's just beautiful, and it's like a pocket book in some ways too, so I just love it. I got another book about another fascination that I've developed over the summer, and it's commonplace books and romantic poets. So it says here, How Romantics and Victorians Organize Information, Commonplace Books, Scrapbooks, and Albums by Gillian M. Hess. I guess she did work in Oxford, because this is a Oxford Textual Perspectives. I will be linking all these books down below, so don't fear if you can't find them. I'll be linking them. And yeah, it combines two of my favorite things, Victorians, well actually three, Victorians, romantics, and commonplacing. So I just can't wait to read this in the fall time. This is like peak me geeking out and tweaking out at this point, and I will be filming a video at some point about everything I talk about, everything that I'm interested in. It's coming. I just don't know when. I love to read more than one or two books in a certain genre before I start opening my mouth, if that makes any sense. I got Outline by Rachel Cusk. This is like part of her trilogy. I think this is a memoir trilogy. There is no blurb, but I got this because I have the other two books in that trilogy. I read my first Rachel Cusk in the summertime and I enjoyed it so thoroughly, and if all of her writing has to do with introspective writing in that way, I'm so in. Yeah, so I read Second Place. It was about art and about privilege, and it just knocked my socks off, so I had to pick this one up, and I want to read everything that she's ever written basically. So another author that I fell in love with over the summer, it's Xochitl Gonzalez, and this one is her first novel, I believe. The one that everyone talks about, but no one talks about her second one, is Olga Dies Dreaming. It says here, it's 2017 and Olga and her brother Pedro are bold-faced names in New York City. Pietro, a popular congressman representing their gentrifying Brooklyn neighborhood. Olga, a Tony wedding planner for Manhattan's power brokers. Years ago, their mother Blanca, a young lord turned radical, abandoned her children to advance a militant political cause. Now, in the wake of the most devastating hurricane in Puerto Rico's history, Blanca has come barreling back into their lives. Xochitl Gonzalez Olga Dies Dreaming examined the very notion of the American dream, all while asking what it really means to weather a storm. I think this is going to be another amazing book, and I'm definitely going to pick it up probably next summer. I picked this book up. It's called The Muralist by B.A. Shapiro. It's part of a series of books on art crime, so I'm not going to blurb it just in case we're about to spoil anything for the both of us. So just know that I got this book, and if you've read anything by B.A. Shapiro, please let me know, because I'm hoping I will love her books, because they all have to do with art crime and art history in some ways. So I think I'm gonna keep those for next spring when I go back into my story. But so far I have been having good luck with everything art related that I picked up this summer. So I picked up this book. It's called Ordinary Human Failings by Megan Nolan, and it says, it says here, it's 1990 in London, and Tom Hargreaves has it all: a burgeoning career as a reporter, a fierce ambition, and a brisk disregard for the peasants, ordinary people, his readers. Basically, it says here, when a 10-year-old child is suspected of a violent crime, her family must face the truth about their past in this haunting, propulsive, psychologically keen story about class, trauma, and family secrets. I very much love the premise of this book, and it says here, heartbreaking, funny, and wise, Ordinary Human Failings explodes the privacy of shame and grief in thrilling perspective, ecstatically lively prose. The Greens are a family you won't ever forget about. So it's a family saga, and I think it's going to be a great one. Then I picked up a French book. It's called Changer Méthode by Edouard Louis. It's like basically about change, and I think this is a very popular book in the English translation too. It's about this guy that I think he changes everything from his life because he grew up poor. So he sleeps with men, and he ends up changing like his appearance and his social class, and yeah, and this is basically his autobiography, and I think he's written other books. So when I heard the story and the background of this, I was like, I need to pick this up. And actually I was recommended this on TikTok, so I love when I find good French books on TikTok, because I'm always trying to read more and expand more of my knowledge, because it's really hard to come around that content as an English as well speaker, and mostly everything is in English, where everything is translated to English. So I'm really excited to pick this one up. I think this is the one that I'm gonna pick up next when it comes to my French reading, just because I'm very much interested in seeing how far does this man go to create the life of his dreams, basically. Now, after reading Romantic Outlaws, I need something that's kind of similar, and I found this book. It's called Dead Famous and an Unexpected History of Celebrity from the Bronze Age to Silver Screen, and it's by Greg Jenner. I think we go to the Victorians and all that as well. I'm pretty sure this one also is going to discuss Lord Byron and other people, and then, you know, make its way gently to our age and our day and age. And fame is something I'm very interested in and exploring and like reading about and watching unravel, because it's just so interesting what it does to people and our brains, and even like posting on like YouTube or social media. It's just weird that we live in this age, but it's also really fun. It feels a bit like more like an equal playing field than it used to be in order to obtain fame, if that makes any sense, because now YouTubers are kind of famous too, if that makes sense. Anyways, then I got some more like literary style books and things. So I have The Adult by Bronwyn Fisher. This one I've heard great things about. The reason why I picked this one up is that the main character goes to the University of Toronto. I am a University of Toronto alumni from my undergrad and my graduate studies. So it says here, an addictively gripping coming-of-age story about an all-consuming, insidious love affair between a college freshman and a mysterious older woman from an unforgettable new voice in fiction. It says, with atmospheric, electric prose that captures the anxiety and emotional intensity of young adulthood like never before, The Adult is about sex, yearning, poetry, and learning to free oneself from expectations of others. And yeah, I'm definitely gonna read this during the fall time. I got this book. It's Bukowski in a Sundress by Kim Adonisio, and it's Confessions from a Writing Life. It says here, in these razor-sharp personal essays, Kim chronicles her wanderings through middle age, fueled by passion, perseverance, and vodka martinis. The celebrated poet, who's come to embrace the epithet of Bukowski in a Sundress, first bestowed by a snarky critic, takes us deep inside the joys, indignities, and adventures of the writing life, from sparsely attended readings at remote Midwestern colleges and one-night stands at conferences to moments of ecstatic inspiration at the writing desk or bed. Equal parts Murray Carr and Amy Schumer, she sheds light on mysterious questions like what writers do all day for the modern women. Basically, anything that has to do with writers' lives, writers' memoirs, I'm in. And the reason why this one drew me in is because it had Bukowski in the title. So I think it's referring to either a poetry line or a poem by Bukowski. So I'm going to have to go and like research that and see if I can find it. Next book I got here is Grief is for People by Sloane Crossley. And I think it's another book about grief. It says here, how do we live without the ones we love? Grief is for People is a deeply moving and suspenseful portrait of friendship and a book about loss that is profuse with life. Sloane Crossley is one of our most renowned observers of contemporary behavior, and now the pathos that has ever been present in her trademark wit is on full display. After the pain and confusion of losing her closest friend to suicide, Crossley looks for answers in philosophy and art, hoping for a framework more useful than the unavoidable stages of grief. For most of her adult life, Sloane and Russell worked together and played together as they navigated the corridors of office life, the literary world, and the dramatic cultural shifts in New York City. One day, Sloane's apartment is broken into. Along with her most prized possessions, the thief makes off with her sense of security, leaving a mystery in its place. When Russell dies exactly 1 month later, his suicide propels Sloane on a wild quest to write the unwritable, to explore what constitutes family and possession as the city itself faces the staggering toll of the pandemic. So this seems like it's a lot. It's going to be heavy, but I think I'm going to enjoy every bit of it. Wait, actually I didn't realize that I have another book by Sloane Crossley, and this one is called Classic, and the reason why I picked this one up is because I'm so fully into my movie era. Like I love movies. I've always loved movies, but this year more than ever I just want to reflect on movies and share my love of movies, and I'm kind of crafting different videos about movie and movie recommendations that I will be filming in the upcoming months. So this one is called Classic, and it's about movie lovers. It says here, one night in New York City's Chinatown, a woman is at a reunion dinner with former colleagues when she excuses herself to buy a pack of cigarettes. On her way back, she runs into an ex-boyfriend and then another and another. Nothing is quite what it seems as the city becomes awash with ghosts of heartbreak past. What could normally pass for coincidence becomes something far stranger. The recently engaged Lola must contend not only with the viability of her current relationship, but with the fact that both her best friend and her former boss, a magazine editor turned mystical guru, might have an unhealthy investment in the outcome. Memories of the past swirl and converge in ways both comic and eerie as Lola is forced to decide if she will surrender herself to the conspiring of one very contemporary cult. Okay, so maybe this is not about movie, but about cults, actually. Hilariously insightful and delightfully suspenseful, cult classic is an original, masterfully crafted tale of love, memory, mortality, and mind control, as well as a fresh foray in the philosophy of romance. It is possible to have a happy ending in an age when the past is ever at your fingertips and sanity is for sale. With her gimlet eye, Sloane Crossley spins a riot literary fantasy that is equal parts page-turner and poignant of portrayals of alienation. Okay, I guess I misread whatever I thought this was gonna be, but it still seems like a really fun book to read. This one is, though, about film and movies. This is Quentin Tarantino's Cinema Speculation. I haven't heard anyone talk about this book, but I've seen that it has really great reviews on Goodreads, so I'm really excited to read this one. I do shamelessly enjoy Quentin Tarantino works. If you want to call me a film bro for that, I don't give a fuck. Like, I don't know, sue me. We like what we like. We can't help ourselves for liking the things that we like. Then two books that I got that are very much in line with my spirit of wanting something beautiful. I have Pilgrim Bell, Poems by Kaveh Akbar, which is an Iranian author. I've heard only great things about his poetry, and a lot of people have recommended this one. And then I also got Mary Oliver, which is, you know, one of our great American poets, but this one is actually selected essays and it's called Upstream. So I've read her poetry before. I've never read any of her essays, so I'm really excited to read this, and honestly I'm really excited to just be in this joyful poetic space in the fall time, if that makes sense. If you know of any essays or poems or poetry besides the romantics, something that's more modern and that's very poetic and heavy in like the seasons and whatnot, I really would love for you to recommend it. I've read one that is recently published. It's called Dearly, Poems by Margaret Atwood. That one was really beautiful and very much in line with the season and season change and aging and whatnot. So something like that I would love to read in the fall time. So if you have any recommendations besides Mary Oliver, please do send them down below. Then I got this book of poetry, poems by this girl on TikTok. And she's also Canadian, and I really enjoy her stuff. She's one of the more modern poets that actually put some oomph into it, if you know what I mean. No shade to a lot of modern poetry, but some of them is just not to my level of appreciation, I would say. So this one, if I can actually get this out of here, what the hell is going on? This one is by Sarah Mann. It says, I am sad and I cannot draw. I'm not a poet. So this is self-published, I believe, with a press. But I think this might actually get published by a publishing house soon. So I just want to read this one as well. And yeah, I just wanted to support her work because I like her work. So that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to support the people that you enjoy and you want to see more of. So I really love seeing younger people get interested in poetry and like actually trying their hand at poetry, and I really think that it should be encouraged, even though like right now there's this whole debate of like, are we dumbing down everything and whatnot, but I don't think so. I think it's just a natural progression, you know. We get better as we experience more and as we learn more. Yeah, just remember to be kind. You can be critical, but you can also be kind in that way when it comes to the newer generations in how they read things and how they write things, you know. My throat is so sore. I'm going to a concert in a few hours. I'm definitely not going to be singing. I woke up with a little bit of a tickle in my throat, so I hope that's nothing. And yeah, now we're down to the last 4 books, so let's get into them because they're all like self-help business books, so that's gonna be very quick to get through. First, I got The Almanac of Naval Ravikant by Eric Jorgensen and a foreword by Tim Ferriss. I've just been hearing a lot of people say like, Naval's changed my life, made me a millionaire, blah blah blah. So I just want to read what the finance bros, finance YouTubers are saying, just to see if I agree with it or if I could like find something that's interesting and useful to my life. So that's why I picked this one up. I also have this book that it was actually highly recommended in the summertime. A lot of people were reading this one. It's Embrace Your Limits, Change Your Life, 4,000 Weeks, Time Management for Mortals by Oliver Burkeman. And as you guys know, one thing I struggle the most with in my life is time management and actually like using my time wisely. I like books like these that are coming out now because they talk about like doing more of what you love and less of what you don't want to do in order to like craft a life that you enjoy. So I think this is going to be in that similar vein. So I'm going to read this at some point. I don't know when. I've read so many of these types of books throughout this year. I think I might need a little bit of a brain pause, brain cleanse before getting back into those type of self-development books. I also got $1 Million Weekend, The Surprisingly Simple Way to Launch a 7-Figure Business in 48 Hours by Noah Kagan. Honestly, I got this one because I have not seen one bad review about this book, so I'm hoping that it might, you know, help me with my own future endeavors. And then finally, the last book that I got, a book that everyone also loves and has been reading, is Outlive by Peter Attia, and it's The Science and Art of Longevity, and basically everything that I like to read about. I think one thing about me is accepting some of the contradictions in my life where it's like I want to live a long and healthy and happy life, but I also have a very self-destructive streak that I've been working through for the last years of my life, actually for all my life. So it's really now I'm more about a balance of like how can I live a sustainable, good, healthy, creative life without like literally myself or prematurely dying from bad habits that I could change and tweak, right? So that's why I love being healthy, but then sometimes when I become too healthy, I trigger that OCD part of my brain and that perfectionist part of my brain where I literally cannot function because I just have to be very healthy. I have to be perfect. And then so basically, if you ever wonder why I read so much self-help, is because I am trying to help myself and I'm trying to figure it out as I go along because no one can figure it out for me. So I can read, try things, see what works for me, and then talk about them, and hopefully that inspires and help other people. And if you like that, then that's the second channel for you. It's called Sandra's Shelf and it's linked down below. I have not posted in months, but I'm planning on making a comeback soon, so stay tuned for that. I feel ready, I feel healthy, I feel balanced, and I feel like I can tackle those projects again. So yeah, I hope you enjoy this long book haul, but these are the books that I've been collecting over the summer and during the summertime, and I hope you've encountered new books, new authors, new genres even, maybe. I don't know, it could happen. And let me know if you have read any of these books, if you are interested in any of these books, if you recommend me any of these books or any of those poetry books that I was talking about that are like very heavy in nature handed. And I will see you in the next video. I have my cat here, that's why I'm like reaching down because he's just like purring and like asking for attention as he always does when I film these videos. But yeah, I hope you have a great day. I hope you're reading great books. I hope you're taking care of yourself. I hope you're writing great books, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye!